Welcome, everybody, to the Speak Your Truth podcast. This is our initial relaunch of the podcast, and we are going to be talking about energetics and art and how our energy affects our art and how energy comes from our emotions. I'm excited to welcome our first guest this week, A.E. Reid, and cannot wait for you to meet him as well.
Welcome, AE. I'm so glad to have you here. Yes.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
My first guest at the relaunch. We just were talking about it's been almost 2 years since my last published podcast, which I was sad to see that was in 2023. It really doesn't seem like it's been that long.
No, it doesn't. I remember we had such a great time on the one that you and I recorded together. It was a lot of fun. So I was happy to see you were getting back to it.
I was so excited that you wanted to be my first guest. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much and welcome. I'm not really, I kind of joke that I'm changing the format, but not really. But what I'm really doing is, because we're all going to still speak our truth, right? But really, I want to focus on my creative friends because to me, my creativity is tied directly into my energy, which, is directly into the emotion. And as artists, I mean, it was like this light bulb moment for me, like, oh God, I'm such an idiot. Why did I not put all of this together before? Because it's like, well, of course, because our emotions are what drive our creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it comes from, and our energetics come from it. And the energy that we put into our work is what draws people into it. Truly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Truly.
I agree. Yeah, I agree completely.
Right. Well, so I'm glad you're here because AE has an upcoming art show at Nomad
Mm-hmm.
Wine Works in High Point, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that today. But of course, AE and I will always talk about all kinds of things.
We will.
We can't help ourselves but to chat it up. So, AE, why don't we start with your upcoming show?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, it's at Nomad Wine Works. That's at 432 North Wrenn Street in High Point. If you're familiar with High Point at all, it's a street off of Main Street. It's near the big chest of drawers. You can't miss it, but it's there. And Wrenn is a one-way street, so don't get confused.
Right.
There's a
You
lot
can
of
head
one-ways in that.
south, but not north.
Exactly. But, it's going to be September 5th. From 6 to 8 p.m. And I'll be there. And then the show is actually up the entire month of September. And this is a solo show. It's not a group show. It's just little old me. So
I love
I'm
it.
super excited about it. I've been doing some shows with Brewer's Kettle, and that's kind of how this kind of thing kind of came to be. Dave, the owner of Brewer's Kettle, talked to Aaron at Nomad and was like, "We got to give this guy a show." So I was super excited about it. I'll even admit, super nervous about it, but just really grateful to get that opportunity to kind of introduce myself. Because I don't think a lot of people know that I'm an artist. They see me as the guy that does like, well, there for a while it was the weight loss thing. And then it was, the guy that does the stuff like graphic design and doing furniture stuff and that kind of thing. And I'm like, guys, I was a lot of something else before that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm super
I
excited
feel
about
you 100%. That's me. I'm all a Jacqueline of all trades, right?
it. Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it's coming up. I'm excited. I've got, well, I originally was going to have 19 new pieces of work. And then the other day, I had a moment and I thought, those four guys right there, they don't work. I need them out. So I took those four pieces out and started a new piece this past Sunday, finished it on Wednesday, and it's 3 foot by 4 foot. I I was doing some speed painting, but I paint fast anyway. But now, so there's only 16 or 17 pieces in the show, something like that, 16, 15. I'm horrible with math. There's going to be new art. Let's just say that.
That's okay. So as you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, I've never done a solo show. So I don't even know what that would entail. Like, how many pieces do you decide that goes in a solo show?
Well, it was funny because when I went into the space initially, I kind of sat there and I was like, wow, I've got an idea for this one area, which is actually the thing you see behind me, and I hope you don't hear my dog. She's down here breathing kind of heavy. I was like, is she okay? But this is part of a piece that's going in there, and I had a vision because if you've been there, which I'm sure you've probably been there, it's here in town. There's the group of 9, and then there's the big Scrabble wood piece. Well, this piece behind me, this is one section of it. It's a triptych. It is 5 foot tall, and each panel is 4 feet wide. So when I put them together, it is going to be a 12-foot long painting in that space. So I knew initially that's what I wanted. I knew there was one. That was it. I was like, I got one. Yeah. But then I started looking around and I thought, okay, there's a lot of wall space in there when you actually start to look at it. But what happened with me, because I don't always work small. That's one of the downfalls of some of my work, is that you got to love big art because you're going to get it from me. I rarely do little, although I have a project coming up where the smallest piece is going to be about an inch by an inch, inch and a half.
Like a Scrabble square.
Yeah, it'll be small.
Yeah.
It's going to be very small, and it's going to be a group of pieces all put together in little 10 frames that'll look like retablos. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Oh, me too.
But
I can't wait for that too.
I had to get through this one first. So yeah, so I just went into it going, okay, just start working. And initially I thought 13 to 15 pieces, just kind of the sizes that I usually go with. And then, like I said, I had 19 up until just this past week, and I killed out 4. But it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of have to look at the space. And even they said to me, he was like, look, you can fill up as much as you want or harder. He said, if you just want to do that one wall, that's fine. If you want to go over to this wall, that's fine too. It's up to you. And I was like, oh, well, I'm filling this place up. Because I was like, I want it to be like, this is going to be the first real hello. It's going to be a hello,
Heck yeah. That's so, I think that's so exciting. And, David Armstrong is one of the biggest proponents of the art movement in High Point. Just for other listeners outside of our area, we are known as the furniture city capital of the world. We have furniture market here twice a year, fabric market here twice a year, and probably miscellaneous and sundry other market things that happen here all year long. We have lots of creative hubs throughout the city. We are now, and I say we because this is something that I've been talking to several people about, including David, that I really want to see this social district become an arts district, become more of a hub for all of us to be able to come together, because we have the opportunity, a unique opportunity that other cities don't have, is that we can get our work in front of international buyers just because of all the people that come in and out of our city every year.
Yeah. And see, that's what I love about, and I'm, I love High Point. I've lived here since 2006, but my God, Winston-Salem's Arts District is heaven. And I've talked to Melody Burnett with Visit High Point, and I've told her, I was like, oh my God, I wish we could just get a section somewhere, a street somewhere that we could have an arts district like this. And I love the idea of kind of the social district being the arts district as well. Although a lot of us artists are anti-socials.
We want you to come out and see our art, but we don't want you to talk to us.
So,
or if we do talk to you, we're going to go home and lay down for 2 days.
Yes.
Because that is what happened to me a couple of weeks ago when I did my first just artist reception. I wasn't even doing a show. I basically dug stuff out to take up to the new Studio 132 on Church Avenue. It was so much fun, but it was 4 hours, and I did not leave my house the rest of the weekend.
It drains you, and I don't, and that's and it's really true, because I was thinking about this, and I did I have 3 pieces at the Red Dog Gallery in Winston right now. They're in the Arts District. One, I did not want to go to the reception. I was like, and it was rainy that night. So I was like, oh, it's rainy. We shouldn't go. It's pouring rain. We should not go.
I just need a little bit of weather to keep me home.
Yeah. Like I was walking there in the pouring rain. But, so we get there and we run in and get a quick bite to eat. there on Trade Street at the oh God, it's a steakhouse there and it's really good and I can't think of it's the Spotted Cow, I think is what it's called, or Spotted something. It's so good. If you get a chance, if you're in Winston, go to it. It's great. Um, and so we went down and we're walking towards it, and Michaela with Tag, who would be a great guest for the show, by the way.
Yes. I'm just going to interject this. I met her. She came out to my corporate job and did a little art thing, and we had so much fun. I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to meet you, but I don't go out
Yes,
of the house.
yes, yeah, exactly. She's great. She would be a wonderful guest because she handles all the education at Tag and she does a great job. And I saw her and her husband, and they said they were going to be there, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank God. So we get there, there was nobody there. There was not a single person except for the lady who runs the gallery, and I'm going, did it get canceled and nobody told me? And so when I walked in, first off, there are my pieces at the far end of the wall. So when you walk in the door, it's the first thing you see are my three pieces like in your face. Of course, that took me back a little bit, and I was still nervous. I was anxious. Like I scarfed down my food because I was just like, I can't, my brain was, we get there, we go through the entire reception. A lady bought a piece as I was standing there. So I got to meet somebody who I never had a connection with, would not have even met if I just hadn't gone. So that kind of was like, I can relax now. But I will tell you, I did for the next couple of days just crash. And it wasn't like I was talking to a lot of people. There were people did start to file in, by the way. There was a group. But I was just like, okay, it's time to go home. And I was like, I got home and I'm like, oh, and I just crashed. And it takes such energy. I'm like that after market too, because week and a half of market or whatever, and then it's done. And it's just like I don't want to see people. I don't want to hear anything about furniture. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to be quiet and hide. And and you have to recharge because everybody's they're pulling your energy, and you're there because you need to be there, and they're pulling your energy, and then you're just like, I can't, and your battery needs to recharge. So it's
Well, and they're not only pulling your energy, but you're sharing your energy because you're sharing a piece of you. And I think
yeah,
that that's one thing, like I hate to vend, like I hate to go to these pop-up shows and stuff. It's just like, it's exhausting for me because people come by and be like, I could paint that. And I'm like, this is a piece of me that you're talking about. You could do this. And that's not a good thing to ever go and say. I mean, I get it. I've walked past stuff before and think I could do that, but I would do this, 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 and this. But I'm not saying it out loud. And I think that people don't realize how much energy that pulls because that's a negative suck out of you. And when you're trying to share yourself with the world, it's kind of like, you know,
exactly. And I feel the same way. And sometimes, I don't do the pop-up markets. Like I know there's some artists, like Liz McKinnon. She does a lot of pop-up markets and everything. And I'm like, I can't. I just can't. There's no way. I'm like, I cannot do that. Truthfully, have I myself have gone through and went, well, I could do that. But like you, I don't say
right.
it to the artist. I think
No,
it in my head and go, well, I would do it this way, this way, this way. But I have heard people say that. And the thing is, it's like, well, if you think you can do it, just go do it. But you didn't. I did. So hush up. It's
right.
like,
I mean, and the other thing is like, but are you? Are you going to go? Are you going to go and buy this $500 piece of canvas and some paints and stuff and do this? Um, Kind of like the social media thing that you shared the other day that I shared too. I was like, yeah, I was like, introverts have a huge, huge, very expensive hobby.
hmm
We're not out here, having really cheap hobbies. We have really expensive hobbies because paint and brushes. I mean, I can sit here. Somebody asked me what kind of watercolors I used, and it was another watercolor artist, and I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever crap I have. And she's like, well, I just won't use anything but, da, da, da. And I'm like, well, I haven't gotten to that point in my life where I can even understand the difference between the two things. I don't mean anything by it because I'm sure if I did use an expensive one, then I would really be in trouble. But I am a self-taught watercolor artist, so I've had to learn how to use it. And I'd rather not spend $500 while I'm teaching myself.
Right,
right?
exactly.
You know,
Well, it's
um,
like for instance, like you were just talking about, like I would go to the art store and get pastels. I'm not a pastel artist, but I would go get pastels, and I would see the Caran d'Ache, little crayony pastelly kind of things, and I'm like, I am not putting money into those. Those things are expensive. Well, it was funny because we got Jerry's here in town. We all love Jerry's. I started to like, it's Jerry's. It's like Christmas. And they had a special on them. And I got them and I'm like, oh, now I understand the infatuation with these stupid little crayons that are like a gazillion dollars, you know. But I haven't used
yeah,
them much because now I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. I don't want to mess them up.
I'm the same way. Like I get these, I'll spend some money. I can't remember what my favorite pastels are. I used to go over to Sawtooth and in Winston
Mm,
and take classes with um Bill Gramley. And I have I did that in one of his classes, that little beach scene right there. I cannot come home and do it without him in the room. It's like I forget how to use pastels because it's layering, and my brain, like I can sit there and he'll talk about it and I'll be like, yeah, this is great, and that's great. But if I come home and recreate it, it looks totally different. It's not the same. Um,
you
but
don't
when
ha-
I
you
did
don't you don't have that energy in the room.
right,
That's
exactly, you were
Yep.
exactly right, and I also found that I only liked certain kinds of pastels that were quite expensive.
hmm Oh yeah, there was one I was watching the other day on a YouTube video or something, and it was this French, of course it's a French company, and they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and they had like, I'm not lying to you, 400 different blues, and they were showing how they made them and patted them into the little molds and I'm like, oh, I'll go look at these pastels. Yeah, it was like $100 and some a stick for
Yeah.
what? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I don't think I'm quite to that point in my artistic career. However, I would love to get there, right?
me too.
That is something that I will strive to do, is to be able to have $100 stick of pastel and have many of them.
Yeah.
I love it. But you're right. It's all about having that energy, when you learn. I know that you teach
Mhm.
over at Tag Some, and I love
Mhm.
what you do. Uh, Gosh, why is that slipping my mind? You just recently did the pet portraits, but you did the collage, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
really.
it's a lot of fun to do those because I never know who's taking the class. And so far, there's only been I've done that pet portrait class 3 times now, and I think 2 of the classes I had somebody I knew in it. But this last one was a mother-daughter team. Had no idea who they were, and they were a lot of fun because not only were they having a good time, and that particular class they could bring beverages. So they were enjoying beverages, and I was, I was, I had such a fun time because they were laughing and cutting up, and the daughter was making fun of the mom's collage, and she was making fun of her daughter's collage, and they were just going at each other. It was so much fun. But the great part about it is you get different levels when you have those kind of classes for, the public. You get somebody who's really, Mr. and Ms. Artsy, and then you get somebody going, I've never cut papers, gosh, since I was in elementary school. I haven't done this in a long time. And I'm like, it's okay. We got this. But I do love the teaching. And I actually was going to go in to be a teacher when I was in college, but I changed courses and ended up in graphics. So
Well, but
yeah.
but here you are. I mean, I never thought about teaching art ever. And years ago when Jenny opened up the wine and design over in Jamestown, I was like her main teacher. Mary Powell and I both taught over there, and I used to teach over there, and it would just make me laugh because you go in and people would just, it's wine and design. And so they'd bring their stuff and they'd have their snacks and they'd have their wine, and paintbrushes were constantly being put into glasses of wine. And, and then they'd be like, hey, can you come fix this for
Yeah.
me? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can try here, hold on. But it's, teaching is very different, I think. But I think it's something that I have realized needs to be done. because if we don't share, if we can share our gift with our art, but also sharing it with others, especially for me, feeling like, because people are like, "Oh, you're such a great artist." I'm like, "Well, I just taught myself how to, I just painted until it looked decent, till it didn't look like a kindergartner painted it anymore, right?" Um, and I think it's just something special to share that with people. Like I would have never thought about doing collage the way you did it. And it just opens up your mind to so many different things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I've never sat down and cut up a bunch of pieces of paper and tried to make something out of it, truly.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
but several years ago, I did a stop motion animation where I painted all of the Thanksgiving. I painted all the things that my family traditionally has for Thanksgiving. And I did a stop motion where the turkey came out onto the table, all the places were set, and here comes all the sides. And then there was one plate that got filled up with all the stuff. It was just kind of fun. But I painted all of those and then cut them out. It never dawned on me that I could actually now take those pieces and recreate something else with it.
Yeah. Got it.
You know, this is just how my brain is just
Yeah.
rolling.
Well, it is funny because one of the reasons why I didn't go into education was, well, with little kids, it was paper and glue and scissors and crayons and that kind of thing. Then you've got the high schoolers, which I'm not sure how long my patience would last with their mouth. And then you've got college kids, who pay to go, and so they're there, and you start to get a little bit of the you get some of their little divas and that kind of thing. So I was like, I think I could do college. I could deal with, college. But I couldn't do the others. And now here I am at TAG, and the main thing I'm known for is being the collage guy, which is basically scissors, paper, and glue. So, but I'm teaching it to adults. So that's where the change is a little different.
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, and it's just fun. I mean, I look at that and think that's such a fun class to
There's no
do.
pressure. Yeah,
There's no
there's no
pressure.
pressure.
You have all
Mm-mm.
of these options. I was looking at it the other day and thinking that's so cool to like you go through, and I don't know what kind of different, if you use different papers or if you're using different like wallpaper scraps, all kinds of stuff that you can find to pull out textures and designs and to create your pet. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we end up doing with that class is I sat there and I'm like, okay, let's look, I showed them some examples I have a video that I did. Gosh, I've had that video now probably about 2 or 3 years. And I show it, and it's just basically collage pieces just scrolling through, and there's some animals, there's landscape, and we talk about stuff. And I usually talk about Henri Matisse, because he started out as a painter and then ended his life as a collage artist because of the inability for him to stand. He didn't really paint as well, and he started having problems like arthritis and things like that. So he sat in his wheelchair and he would cut paper and build these. And people don't realize those things are massive. They're not collages. They're, you know, 15 feet tall and 40 feet long, and they're huge. But I talk about that, and then we start looking at their pet, and I'm like, okay, let's take a look. And I'll say, go pull some papers. I'm like, go pull paper you think you like. Just go grab some stuff. And there's wallpaper, there's newspaper, there's magazines, there's calendar pages. It's all a mix. And they come back, and I'm like, okay, so what are you thinking? And they'll be like, well, I think I might put this here. And then I gently guide them, because I don't want to be one of those people going, no, you have to do it this way because this and this and this and this. I let them kind of discover the fun in it, because if I take that away, it's going to be one of those, well, that class was boring. It was like, all I did was he told me what to do and I did it. I don't want that. I want them to kind of discover. And when I see them going off the tracks, because sometimes that happens, I'll go, you know what I would do? If I were you, think about it this way. Maybe you put this, this, and this. And then they'll go, oh, I didn't think about that. And then that takes them down another rabbit hole. And I find that's the best way to lead a workshop, especially with people who may or may not have artistic ability or think they don't, to do that sort of thing. And then it's there. But it is a lot of fun. I've got to get back with Michaela and get some more
Yeah.
on the books. So,
Well, I was that's funny that you said that, because my next question was going to be, what else do you want to teach?
well, so here's something funny. Back when COVID was happening, back 5 years ago, which seems crazy to think about it. It was 5 years ago
Right.
now, because it does
Right.
sometimes feel like it was just yesterday.
Feels like it just happened.
Uh-huh.
It really
So,
does.
so when that started happening, I had, I decided I wanted to do art lessons. And when I was doing it via Zoom with some people in Richmond, and I really got it. It was a art journaling class. I really got into it, and I'm like, gosh, that's really cool. I should do it. I should do something like that. And then, um, you know, didn't obviously, and got back into life again because once we had that 2 week break, to flatten the curve. Ha ha. When we had that break, we all got back into work and everything else. And so then in 2023, when I was underemployed for a bit, so I thought, oh, I got to go back to that Zoom idea. And I really dug deep into it this time. I mean, I looked at the cost of professional Zoom and all the things, and started putting out class schedules and figuring out what I wanted to do. And that's where I'm probably going to lead next. Is I'm now going back and revisiting that once again, because I realized that when you and I talked about originally, me coming on and doing the broadcast and podcast today, I thought to myself, okay, what is my process, and what do where is, where's the love, so to speak. And I realized that one of the things that now, when I was working on this show, is that when I am in my studio creating, and when I am nurturing that side, oddly, and I say oddly, the rest of the world kind of falls in place. And the stuff that I really had been worrying about suddenly, I mean, I'm still worried about it, but they work out. So it's almost like, with me nurturing my creative side and doing the creative things and lifting, you know, my energy and my presence, because I'm putting things onto paper or canvas or whatever. When I start doing that, life fixes itself, because life can be a show sometimes, and
Indeed.
it fixes itself. So I'm looking back at the the Zoom classes, and it's a variety of things that I want to teach. Because me, I'm not just I'm an acrylic painter. I'm not that person. I do acrylics, I do watercolor, I do color pencil, I do regular pencil, I do all I do collage. Um,
Of everything.
so yeah, so I want to teach like a broad spectrum of that. So I've got a Facebook page for it already. I've got an Instagram account. I mean, I've got all the things, and it's been sitting there, and I've neglected it. And when you said, hey, we're going to restart this, and I thought, you know what? You're an idiot if you do not go back and visit this, because it was one of those things for me was, eh, I don't have time for it, or you know, it's not going to do this, or it's not going to do that. And one of the things, the reason that I'm talking about this too, is, and even with this show, is that I challenged myself at the beginning of this year to get myself out there more. Because I did that. There was that little mini show that I did at the library for the month of June, July. I think it was July. It was June. A little show there, and then like I started putting my stuff at Brewers, and now I've got this thing here with Nomad, and I've done the Red Dog Gallery now, so I've got something out there. So I'm really trying to do that. I'm revisiting, like I said, revisiting that Zoom idea because of that, because I'm pushing myself to go to uncomfortable places.
Hear that.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. I mean, that's really tough, especially as artists, because with this kind of stuff, and I'm putting myself out there, like you've said, you're putting a piece of yourself out there. It's it's like, huh. And that when that lady bought that piece at Red Dog, it was that moment of, oh my gosh, somebody just spent a good amount of money on a piece of my art. And I'm like, she did look at the price, right? It was that kind of like, and then I was like, oh, I kind of feel maybe I shouldn't have made it. I should have given her
Well,
a
I
deal.
know. We underprice ourselves so much, but um, it's so difficult because, and I can't remember, who said this to me most recently, but my mom has said it to me all the time. But it's one of those things where when something comes easy to us, we don't see the value in it. Like when I've been working on my Shopify site this weekend, I have, I'm like, I never see the value in somebody until I start doing it myself. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should hire somebody to do this for me because it's a
Yeah.
little harder than I thought. Um, but um, it doesn't. And so I have worked hard on that. But I will be honest with you, I would not even have put myself back out there if Paige Gleason had not called me and said, people keep coming into my studio asking for your stuff. And I was like, okay,
There you go. Well,
thank you. And that was
yeah.
the universe saying she's not going to do it, so we have to do it for her. Here's the
Yep.
push. And
Yep.
I have met so many incredible artists, that I didn't know prior to going over there and meeting Paige. And just as it kind of blossomed and I could feel myself getting excited talking about art, wanting to paint more, wanting to do more stuff. I had already been I had started dabbling in Procreate, like I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before last. An artist friend of mine in Winston, her daughter spent like an hour and a half with me trying to show me Procreate on my iPad, um, because it's a super easy way to create things quickly. I just did a logo for someone. It's kind of, so it's nice to have that as
Hmm.
an extension. As you said, I am not one kind of artist. I don't just do one thing because that's not who I am. I love to just create. And I feel you so much, pushing. I'm now pushing myself. And I feel like with this podcast and helping introduce other artists to the community and beyond, I certainly hope, because this will be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. It's on everywhere you get a podcast.
All the
And
socials.
all the social meds, man. Um, you know, all the social meds. And it's just one of those things where you know, meet people and I'm like, oh, I love your art. And I have, I have not bought all the art that I want to buy in my life. I've only just started. I literally, my walls are littered with my own art, but I do have a couple of pieces over there and a piece over here that are friends of mine, but I have not even begun to really open myself up to this full community. And I am now seeing that it is more important for us to all do it together
Yeah. Yeah.
than by ourselves. Um, because it's almost like, so, I dabble in the woo and I talk about light workers coming together to help pull us out of this dark freaking timeline that we're in. And that's all I'm
Mhm.
going to say about it. But
Yep.
I feel like you artists are part of that. And that is where I connected in the energy, because I'm like, of course we're all the light. We are pulling it through. The artists are the ones who are saying the stuff out loud that we need to say, but they're showing it to us in a cartoon or in a painting or whatever. It's all of those things that we need to see, and the artists are the ones who have never backed down from pushing the envelope to say this is not right.
Yeah. And as you were just saying that, that painting by Goya just popped into my head, and I can't think of the name of the painting, but it's the guy, and they've like got him stretched out. He's in a white shirt, and there's like these soldiers, and they've got the guns pointed at him, and it was his response to an incident that happened. I think in the Portuguese War or something. I can't remember. I'm going to botch it up, so I'm going to stop. But that just popped into my head. I'll send it
Yeah.
to you later so you can put it in
Yeah.
the notes or whatever.
Oh,
But
yeah. I would love that.
as soon as you said that, I was like, that painting by Goya. It's like
Yeah.
art history minor. Sorry.
No, no, and I totally get it, because I was laughing because I was like, why didn't I know that about Henri Matisse? Because when I was doing, so I would go to summer school at UNCG and do art history. And I loved it because I was like, I'm just taking classes because I'm in a gallery all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was when I think that was my turning point, when I was like, maybe being an interior designer is not your thing. Maybe you should really look at art. And that's why I have scrambled about, and now I just have a corporate job. but I really want to start working towards a more creative, artistic life and more, doing more of the artwork. And I don't know where that's going to go, but this is step one, right? Here we are.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like for me too, coming back to doing like putting myself out there and doing a show and doing all these things. And really what I discovered in my time when I was down here in my studio, for a while, I'll be honest, it was a pass through. All my stuff was down here. I mean, I've got a virtual art store in my basement. I'm not going to kid you. If you said, "Hey, do you have this?" I could go, "Yeah." I go pull it out of a cabinet and it'd be right here. I've got printmaking supplies over there. I've got brayers. Yeah, girl, I'm telling you, there's all kinds of stuff in here. So, and I was just using it as a pass through. But when I started coming in here and I would make the excuse, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. Like, well, I've got my job. I've got to go do this. And I work 8 hours a day and I come home and I got to do that was all excuses because I was not prepared to come down here and actually put in the work and try to change the reality of, no, I do have time. I'm choosing not to use it. And that comes back to that whole weight loss thing with me. It was like there's choices that we all make. And so when I said I'm gonna have a show, I'm gonna get myself out there, Renee actually said to me, he goes, well, you've got to work on, you got to be in your studio. And I'm like, I know I got to be in my studio. But it was one of those things where I was like, I got to work. And it was funny because when I was younger, living at home, my mom made a comment one day to me after when I left college and was in the corporate world. She goes, well, you just don't do art anymore. I'm like, yes, I do. And I got really defensive about it. Got actually kind of pissed. She was right to a point because I was doing art still. I just wasn't doing it to the magnitude of every day, 24 hours a day. You saw me with a marker or a pen or a pencil in my hand like I did when I was home. Because in reality, I do have to eat and I do have to keep a roof over my head, and I have to keep Jerry's in business. So
Somebody's got to pay Jerry, right?
yeah, so I got to do those things. So I had stopped doing as much, but I was also making the excuse of, well, I've got all this to do. I've got to do this or do that, or mindlessly sitting there scrolling, Pinterest or Tumblr or whatever, or watching something on Netflix that I can only watch one episode, but ended up, I don't have 9 hours to wait and watch, but I just binged the whole series and it was actually 9 hours. Hello, you know it's a choice. So when I started coming down here and working on this show, it was just such a mind click that even now that the show is, I'll be honest, the show was done over a month and a half ago. It's been done. I've I had to laugh. I told Aaron because the guy at Nomad, if you haven't been paying attention, folks, the guy at Nomad, when I was talking about the show, I said, hey, I've got some questions. I need some answers here. And he's like, sure. And he was like, I was like, can I choose the playlist for the show? And he went, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, can I have certain candles burning in there the night of the opening? He goes, yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm normally not this, but, and what was funny about it, then I said, oh, and by the way, he just went, something else. I was like, well, yeah, I gotta, and it was just me asking how I could do the title cards. That was it. It was just like, but I wanted everything to be the thing.
So, yeah.
And now that I've done all that and I deliver it and, the show's opening this week, I'm sitting there and I'm kind of going, well, what now? I've had this moment and I've told myself I've got a list of show ideas. I probably have 10, 12 maybe on that list now. And I'm like, okay, just because you don't have a show booked doesn't mean you don't go to that list and start working on that list. So that when you are ready or somebody approaches you or you find someone who says, hey, we'd love to have a show, I can just go and go, okay, here you go. I've got it.
Yeah.
And so that's where my world is right now. And speaking of, a year from now in September of 2026, I'll be back at Nomad because he's already given me a show for September of 2026.
I think that's wonderful. That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm like, I got another one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's wonderful. And I think that's so I am not familiar enough with I've just done a few shows in my lifetime, but I'm not even familiar enough with how you go about getting shows. Do you just show up? Do you just send an email and say, "Hey, I'd be interested in showing my art at your place," and you
Mhm.
know, um,
I will tell you this one just, and I hate to say it fell in my lap, but it kind of did because I was just sending stuff out to brewers for their monthly shows, and that's all I was doing. David knew me also from Tag because he'd see me with the stuff in the gala, and he, is part of the Tag board. Um, and so he had seen my stuff, and he started seeing me put stuff out at brewers, and he was like, oh, okay. And so I was at a function. It was a HP magazine, High Point magazine, had a function, and I was there. And of course, he was serving beverages, and was talking to him. And he said, "Would you like?" He said, "I have been meaning to ask you, would you like a show at Nomad?" And I just kind of stood there for a minute because I wasn't even in that headspace because I was at a function. I was there with Chu, and we were doing our thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, sure, yeah. I'm not going to say no. So I gave him my card. And he said, okay, I'll get back to you. Well, that was months ago. That was like in the spring. It was like back. And heard nothing. And I thought, okay, that's fine. It's okay. And I'd actually kind of forgotten about it. And then I get a message on Facebook saying, hey, are you still interested in doing a show at Nomad? And it was from
yeah,
Nomad. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, yeah. And so he was like, well, we're going to put you in touch with Aaron, da da da. And that's how it happened. But now that I've done that, the thing to get other galleries to show, it's one of those things where I've approached some people different ways. I've sent emails, I've sent direct messages, to their main page. What I'm trying to do now is, because Winston has an arts district and we don't exactly have that here in High Point yet. I am There's a couple galleries there on Trade Street that I have been into and looked at, and I'm considering going to them and saying, "Hey, I'd like to be part of this. Can we do this?" And putting myself out there, at least in Winston, more too. Um, but it really is. It's a email, feet on the ground kind of thing. I've not walked into a gallery yet and said, "Hey, here's my stuff." I haven't
yeah,
done that yet.
yeah,
Because that takes a little bit of chutzpah, and my chutzpah hasn't gotten hutzed yet.
yeah.
It's kind of like a puh. It's not a chutzpah. It's just puh.
I can't imagine how many days I'd have to spend in the bed after doing that.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
because it would take every ounce of my energy to blow up and then, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
because it would be quite a bit. Um, but I just, I don't know enough about that part of the art world. And of course, I'm learning. Um, but I also don't, I never have seen I have always been one of those people that likes to create art, to create products. So that is kind of more my genre. I don't even know if that's the right word, but like I like to paint things like birds and flowers and houses, and architecture is my true love. That was, I think it was in interior design during historic interiors when I realized that architecture was my true love. It's like I
Hmm.
love, painting houses, especially old houses and buildings. But I can also see that stuff creating patterns and creating fabrics and other
Oh yeah,
things.
yeah.
So I've always seen myself kind of going in that direction. But I love just, I want to start doing more things where I'm able to go out and like say, okay, I'm going to try doing it this way. Like I've never gone out and plein air painted, right? And I think that would be something fun. And I'm sad that that doesn't exist here in town anymore because it was a lot of fun for all the artists.
So so they had a group.
Huh?
See, okay, it's funny you say that. I'm sorry I interrupted you with your
No,
train of
no.
thought, but it's funny because I have talked to Michaela at Tag, because a friend of mine, Gwen, who I met with my art journaling Zoom class, she leads the Virginia Plein Air group in Richmond. She's like their leader. And I told Michaela I would love to have a group of people get together. So maybe this is something you and I need to talk about off camera.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I know the person that used to run it who brought it here, and and they would go all over the city and paint, and
Mhm.
then there would be there would be a showing at Adams Inn, at the Jake's Adams Inn. Do you remember?
No, no,
Oh,
but this is so, see, okay, because I even talked to Michaela about this, was that have you, okay, I'm getting excited again. Uh it's like, oh my God. Yeah.
countdown!
Um, have you watched the Portrait Artist of the Year on Prime? It's from the BBC. Okay, do you have Prime?
M- I don't do any of that, but I'm sure, yes, we have every streaming service there possibly is. So yeah,
Okay. If you have access to it, you need to go look at
let me write it down.
Landscape Artist of the Year, and you also need to look at Portrait Artist of the Year. And you're going to get started and you're going to want to binge all of the seasons, trust me, because it's a group. There's three main judges. There's a guy, his name's Ty Shan He's a portrait artist primarily. There's a lady named Catherine, I think, and I think she's the art historian or she's the gallery person. And then there's another one. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. But anyway, with the Portrait Artist of the Year, they go to various places in Great Britain. And, they go from like crazy bridges that like fold up when the bridge, the car, it's crazy, to these idyllic landscapes that are very British, with all the things and buildings that look like they're just rising right up out of the ground like this. But they have a group of 9 artists, I think it is, and they each have a little pod, and they have to paint whether it's in the rain or whatever's happening. They're in these little
Wow.
pods, and they can do whatever their art is. Some people have done collage. Some people have sewn and did sewing of the landscape. Obviously, most people do acrylic or oil. Some people have done watercolor, printmaking. This one guy did spray paint. He was a spray paint artist, and he did it with spray paint. Crazy. He cut the stencil and everything. I mean, it's wild. But the thing was, I told Michaela I would love to have some sort of thing, like especially in the summer when it's warmer, to have like High Point Artist of the Year
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be
through
fun.
through tag, and like have like 9 or 10 artists or whatever. And they have wild card artists too, that these people just show up and they paint and then they pick a wild card for possibly getting into this Portrait Artist of the Year at the end of the time. But to do something like that, have a group of, have a small group of artists. You don't have to have a bunch, and really promote it and say, hey, here's our 10 High Point artists who are competing for High Point Artist of the Year, Landscape Artist of the Year, whatever. And they do it, and then that stuff could be presented as a show,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and and then and then that people get to do the People's Choice Award, kind of thing. And then there is the, somebody comes from, Asheville or Raleigh or whatever, and comes and judges and says, okay, this is the one, this is the artist of the year for this, and do in the colder times the portrait artist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's it's a great idea. I will tell you, I hate reality TV, but I like the idea because yeah, I do. I hate reality TV. Reality is enough for me.
Yeah,
But I love the idea of doing it and having fun with it. Not, I don't, it wouldn't be videoed like a show, so you wouldn't be like, and then it started raining and I got a raindrop on
yeah,
my watercolor. It's not that, but it would be just fun to go out and, you do this once a week for 5 weeks or whatever, and then,
yeah. And
have
that was the
that.
thing. They had like they would take, like with the portrait artist, I think there's like 9 or 10 episodes where they're picking people, and then those people come together, and then they pick 3 out of that group to move forward to the next round, and then they pick the winner out of the 3. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of intense, but
Yeah.
it's so cool, especially with those shows. And if anybody can grab it and watch it, do, because you see the artist literally setting their painting and going, I think I might, let me change this. I don't like where this is going. Or, and sometimes the judges will be walking past and they'll do a cut to like shot Ty, and he'll be like, well, it was really good up until she started here. And this is where the painting started to fall apart. And it was like, he's right. it's real, and of course it's British, so nobody's like screaming and yelling at each other, and everybody's like, well, she did a great job. I'm so happy she won. They're not going, I did win. So it's fun. It's a great, yeah, it's great eye candy. It makes me want to go paint after I watch an episode, if that tells you anything. It's like it
Yes.
starts
And
gurgling everything up.
right. It just starts those creative juices flowing and gets you
Oh yeah.
excited about creating again, right? Um, so I think that we in town need more stuff like that. And I think that at TAG we need more stuff that supports local artists as well. I think that's something that we need to see as well. Because I see, the last time I went was great because there were I don't know what the show was, but I went to see my nephew's art, and it was, I guess, the end of last year, and for the spring show, and my sister turned around and looked at me, and she goes, "I took art from that lady." She like the one of the pieces in there. She was my art teacher at
Yeah.
UNCG or whatever, and I was like, oh, I wish you could stay because they're gonna have the reception later, and you could have talked to her, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just very funny to see that, right?
Yeah, the upcoming show they're doing is about mid-century modern furniture and art.
I saw that. I have it
And
sitting right here.
yeah, mine's on my refrigerator, so I don't forget. And then they're also doing artists to teach, I think it is.
Yes, in the
Yeah,
education gallery.
yeah. So that'll be
Yes,
in the side and back halls there. So I'm excited to see those, to see
yes.
what everybody brings to the table there. But they're doing a good job. They're getting even more local stuff into the gift shop too that they have there. So there's local artists in there, like my friend Cindy Rice. She does pottery and stuff. She's actually the only person who's ever gotten me to throw a pot on the wheel successfully. Yeah, yeah, she's good. And she's got her dog dishes and her cat dishes and stuff there. And there's some local candle people now, and there's a lot of good stuff there. People need to go see Tag because I think it's one of those things that people uh, just don't take advantage of here in town as much as they could and should.
I'm gonna say this just so in case they're listening. You need to be open on the weekends and you need to be open past 5 o'clock.
Yes.
Because
Well,
that's the biggest downfall that they have, I think. They're
yeah.
only open later when they have shows. And I think that if they found themselves open in the evenings, especially when Earl's is open, you'd have a lot more traffic. You'd have a lot more people coming in. It's just hard because I say that all the time as someone who works a regular job that I can't come, like my job is in Kernersville, so I can't drive 25 minutes over for lunch,
Well,
right?
I will tell you that there is talk that is going to be happening. Okay.
Yay.
I can't officially confirm that because I'm not
No,
with Tag, so
right.
don't come
No,
at me, Tag. Don't come at me.
that's right. Mr.
But
Jeffrey, please don't come get me.
yes, exactly. No. But I have heard talk that there is conversation about changing some of the hours. They are open. I will tell you, there are weekends where either on Saturday or Sunday they do have like open pottery time. And so the clay studio is open, but the main gallery space is open too. There is somebody there, so you can go see it now. So that is
Oh, well,
something that
that's
has
nice.
changed on the evenings and
And
weekends. But
and that is nice. And I'm glad to hear that because I think that is something that is so important to,
mhm.
have those. I mean, my whole thing is I'm like, if you're going to if you're going to stay up until 7 or 8 o'clock at night, don't open till 11. I mean, or 12 or 1 o'clock, you can be open in the afternoons. I think it's hard, but I see what Paige is doing with her gallery, and it is a we're not open until later, but we're open till 9 o'clock or we're open till 8 o'clock. And um, that makes things easier to get in and out of, to go and
Yeah.
check things out. Especially when you can't always make, I was looking to see when this was. This is October. So you can't always make the show openings, which is when I really like to go because at the same time, everybody will be there.
Yeah.
Um, just
Yeah.
like, and that's a perfect segue into this coming Friday
Yes.
is your opening at Nomad Wine Works
Yes.
on Wrenn Street. Is it Wrenn
Yep.
Street? I don't know. I
432.
am from here, and I can't tell you if it's street or not. So, uh,
It is. It's street.
Wrenn Street. Um, And Nomad Wine Works is a fabulous place if you haven't even been in there. They've got wine and aperitifs, and it's a wonderful place. Lots of seating.
Mhm.
It's just a
There'll be a
beautifully open space.
Yep, and there's a
Um,
food truck there that night too. I can't remember which one
oh,
it is, but there's a food truck the night of the reception too.
wonderful! That's always good.
So
You can come get your snacks and your dinner and your beverages and see AE's new show. I'm very
yes,
excited about that.
yes, and if you can't make it for whatever reason, which there shouldn't be a reason, Laurie, yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm going to be out of town. I have a girls' trip planned to the beach, and that is why I will be out of town.
I know. But I
I'm
will say
sorry.
this, that it'll also, for those people who maybe are listening around the globe, we'll just put that out there around the globe. For
Yes.
the people who are listening throughout the globe, it will be on my website. I will have the pieces from the show, including the 4 that I axed, will be on my website, which is aetheartist.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, so go
Fabulous.
there.
Well,
Yes.
we will include all of the links and everything in the show notes. And of course, if you can't find any of that, you can just email me because I will be glad to send that over to you. And it's real easy for me. It's Laurie at lauriemendenhall.com. So
There you go.
you really can't go wrong with that. It's just my name and then my name. So, so AE, thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate it. I'm so excited. And yes, look, we plowed through another hour full of
No,
conversation. I just love it. AE and I cannot be together and not talk for an hour. And it's sad because we're both busy a lot of times, and we're always like, oh, we're gonna get coffee, oh, we're gonna get dinner, but we got this podcast done, dang it.
we did it. We did it. We did.
Well, thank you so much, AE, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you being here, and good luck with your show.
Thank you so much. And just, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks so much for being here today, AE. We really appreciate it. You guys be sure to head on out next week or anytime during the month of September to Nomad Wine Works to see AE's new show. I am going to be out of town for the opening on September 5th, but I've already scheduled time with AE to walk through. So I highly encourage you to get out and have and enjoy some of that time here in High Point looking at all the wonderful art. And we'll see you here next time on Speak Your Truth podcast.